to choose your own adventure. So everybody's going to vote. The entire show will be devoted to one of two topics. It'll be up to the community to decide. Either we're going to get to the bottom of why Ronaldo, who's listed at 6'2", appears to tower over the president listed at 6'3". So that's choice A. Or choice B is previewing the Mamdani Trump Oval Office meeting tomorrow. One topic show, nothing else. We won't talk about anything else. Nothing else allowed as a question. Let's vote now in the chat, please. A, if you want to do Ronaldo's mystery height, and B, if you want to do the Mamdani Trump meeting. Here we go. I see a bunch of A's. There's a B,
Yeah,
there's an A, there's a B, there's an A, there's a
it's
B,
all it's all
there's an
over the
A.
place.
Oh
Look
my
at this.
goodness, neck and neck. All right. You
Look
know
at
what?
computer code.
You know what? Although we were determined to do a one episode show, a one topic show, let's do it all. We'll cover
Wow.
this height mystery. It'll take the inner Nancy Drew, Hardy Boys, and Encyclopedia Brown of all of us to figure out how a guy listed at 6'2" towers over a guy 6'3". And then the Oval Office meeting, man, this is, I don't know, Ali Frazier, Knicks, Lakers. Sean, what for you in sports or politics or any realm of life, business? What's the ultimate heavyweight bout that resonates with you?
Oh, that's I don't know. I'm not a big boxing fan.
Well, no, it
But
doesn't have to be boxing. It could be
no,
politics.
I know, but
Could
that
be
would be
Trump,
where I.
Trump, Clinton. Could be
I
anything
was
you
gonna
want.
say that was a big
What's,
one.
what's the ultimate heavyweight fight in any realm of competition? How about the Soviets versus the U.S. in hockey? That's a big one.
All right. I'll give you that one.
Okay.
Yeah, but we were the underdog big time in that one.
Yeah,
Like
that's all right.
that was
Dan, what's to you the ultimate heavyweight fight? Any
Ooh,
realm of
I'll
life.
say USC Texas 2006 national title
Oh,
game, 1 and 2 all season. They were cruising for each other, and it was an epic back and forth game.
Yeah. I'll go with Clinton Obama. Clinton Obama 2008. That's to me the
What was
ultimate.
it? The third debate in Los Angeles where they just went at each other like from
Yeah.
the go. Like
Yeah.
it was healthcare and
And then Scott Bassett and Bull Pulte is probably number two.
oh.
Yeah. All right. Good morning,
Wait,
everybody.
wasn't it
Yeah.
Besson and Elon like the F
yeah, but that
bomb
was
that was
the
shoving?
undercard.
Yeah, that was the undercard. The real one was
Okay.
Pulte. But by the way, what's the name of that fancy place, that private club in Georgetown now?
The executive branch.
The executive branch. Okay.
Yeah.
They said you can't be a reporter and go to the executive branch. It's like absolute barrier, no reporters. Several people have said to me, Mark, would you like to go to the executive branch? And I say, yes, but you can't take me even though you're a member because I'm a reporter. Then I read in Politico, Brett Baer, reporter, right? Journalist, was reportedly at the executive club. So for all of those of you who'd like to take me, let's try again because I'll just invoke the Brett Bear rule. Thank you for joining. This is the morning meeting. Dan, Sean, and I will take you through the day, read the day book to you in just a moment. And then after we discuss things, including our two top stories, the Mamdani Trump visit and the Ronaldo mystery, we'll be taking your questions. If you're here in the two-way platform, you want to get in on the conversation, please, please, please raise your hand if you're watching on X or YouTube. You might want to put comments in the chat, and you may be saying, "Should I write something in there scatological? Should I make fun of Mark's jacket or the cut of his jib?" No, 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 no smack in the chat. Just positivity. Maybe even a challenging question. Dan said something I didn't agree with, but no smack, no smack, no
By
smack.
the way, it only took 30 seconds for the chat to start talking about is Trump literally shrinking because he's
Yeah,
almost 80. Here
exactly.
we go.
Yeah, Andrew Talley, is that
Yeah,
a fairway and green quarter zip?
yeah,
Andrew, is that raise your hand? Yeah.
yeah. Handsome. If you want to dress as not as sharp as Andrew, go to twoway.tv/fairway. Promo code is Sean. What's that promo code? BF30 for 30% off Black Friday sale. Fair twoway.tv/fairway. Anyway, day book in a minute. I was going to say one other thing. Oh, reminder: we're off next week. No morning meeting, no two-way tonight, as we are every Thanksgiving week. Much value time for all of us who produce the show and appear on the show. Spend time with the family, and then you can do that too. And we'll be back December 1st with both programs. Thank you for your attention to that matter. All right, quick word from a sponsor, then the day book, then a conversation like no other. Cozy Earth is also having a massive sale, 20% off everything. Is it 20% off? I got that wrong. 40% off. Sorry.
Ooh,
40% off
doubled
everything
it.
on the site.
that's a big
Double it.
difference.
Double it. Use the promo code 2WMM on cozyearth.com. Bubble cuddle, blanket, jogger pants, the towels, the sheets, everything. A miraculous Prices so low, they're crazy, as a great man once said. 40% off right now. Go to
Oh,
cozyearth.com.
Crazy Eddie. I like that
Yeah.
reference.
Yeah, there you go. Wrap the ones you love in luxury with Cozy Earth. Right now, you can use the promo code 2WMM for 40% off everything, blankets, towels, sheets, the jogger pants, whatever you'd like. And this won't last forever. And almost nothing lasts forever except what's something that lasts forever? The Jets not making the playoffs. That lasts forever. But
Exorcist.
everything else is variable. So go to cozyearth.com, promo code 2WMM right now for all your needs for betting and everything else. All right. The president, in theory, does not appear in public today, although last night he went on a Truth Social jag. He posted on a variety of topics, including previewing his all-important meeting tomorrow with Mayor-elect Mamdani. Today got nothing on the schedule. Intelligence briefing at public schedule. Intelligence briefing at 11. Private meeting with the families and freed Israeli hostages and their families in the state dining room at 2. Marquee event then for public consumption at this time is Caroline Levitt at 1 o'clock, briefing in the James Brady room. Politico calls Caroline Levitt and this man, J.D. Vance, the president's two best surrogates. And Mr. Vance, during this hour, 9:30 Eastern time, he will be sitting down with the great Matt Boyle, Breitbart's Washington bureau chief, for a fireside chat at the Andrew W. Mellon Auditorium. I'll be curious to see if there's a fire there because I'm a stickler. If there's no fire, it ain't a fireside chat. Anyway, 9:30, the vice president does that. House is in, Senate is in. They're doing a bunch of stuff that I won't bore you with. 11 o'clock, Dick Cheney's funeral. Kind of extraordinary. As we forecast here, every living vice president will attend. Former vice president will attend, but the current vice president and the president were not invited. They were not invited. Now, had they been invited, Sean, if they'd been invited, would they have gone? I don't think the president would have gone. Probably the vice
president wouldn't.
president.
I think JD might.
Yeah, but anyway, they weren't invited. So Liz Cheney's speaking. Some of the grandkids are speaking. 43 is speaking. And right now, just a coverage prediction because everyone here is interested in the media. Dan, MSNBC, CNN, Fox, who will take it live for the whole thing?
What time is JD Vance's fireside
9:30.
chat?
9:30.
9:30.
That'll be long over.
They'll all take it.
They'll all take the whole thing.
Oh, I don't
No,
think
no,
so.
no,
I
not
don't
the
think
whole
so.
thing. No, no.
What will they take?
A part of it.
Who's someone everyone will take? Liz Cheney, W. Who will? Like, will everybody take W?
I don't know. I don't know if Fox will.
Yeah,
I think
John?
they'll take people arriving and maybe, maybe Liz
But-
Cheney. It's his daughter.
Yeah. Well, Fox is going to take Liz Cheney. I can tell you that. All right. We'll see about that. And full coverage of the funeral. Noah, I want extended excerpts, please, of the funeral on Two-Way Tonight.
Who's
Seriously.
sitting with who? You
Yeah,
gotta
all that
break
stuff.
that down.
And the former vice president's club is an interesting group of people. You got your Al Gore, you got your Dan Quayle, you got your Kamala Harris. I'm missing one. Who's the other living vice president?
By the way, Kamala and Biden.
Oh,
will be
Joe
together.
Biden. Joe Biden.
Is that
former
the
vice
first time
president.
Kamala and Biden are together since they left?
Well, they claim they talk on the phone, but it'll be interesting to see what they do together. Pence, thank you. Thank you very much. I forgot great Mike Pence. Anyway, so you got your Indiana, your California, your Delaware, your Arizona/Indiana,
An Al Gore sighting?
and Tennessee. Yeah, well, it'd be interesting to see. Let's predict right now, beard or no beard on Gore?
no beer.
No beard. Thin Gore or fat Gore? I bet he's on Ozempic, so he's thin. I'm
First off,
predicting,
that's all relative.
I'm predicting he's thin. I'm predicting he's thin and beardless.
Do you
We'll
think
see.
he has some little circles under his eye, like a little bit of a certain
Ye-
face going? or-
Yeah. All right. The economy and the polls. Economic news out this morning. This is 117. The job figures are decidedly mixed. Some are positive, some negatives. This month's number was 119 jobs, higher than expected by a
Way
lot.
higher.
Way higher by a lot. But the previous months were readjusted down. The unemployment rate is up. The White House will tout this as a great thing because of the headline number, but this is a classic mixed. And although the Nvidia number last night was massive, and everybody who likes the big frothy bubble breathes a sigh of relief, there's still a lot of concern, obviously, about the economy, not just amongst egghead economists, but then there's that other group that matters too, the American people. Here's how Fox News covered what is the third or fourth consecutive day of truly devastating poll numbers for the president of the United States. This is the Fox and Friends coverage of a Fox poll 107, please.
So it comes on the heels of brand new Fox News polls that reveal Americans are hurting financially. Only 25% saying they're currently satisfied with the U.S. economy.
And part of that is because of inflation. We also went through this big shutdown. More than 50% of Americans say that inflation is completely out of control.
Completely out of control.
Our polling shows 46% of Americans think they've been hurt by President Trump's
That's
economic policies. But
hurt
the
by
president
them.
insists he's trying
Hurt
to
by
clean
them.
up the mess he inherited from the Biden administration.
Now, you could say a lot of that 46% is Democrats, of course, but only 15% say they've helped. And so that includes every Republican. So, of course, what the president of the United States is going to do when he's giving a big high-profile economic speech, knowing that these poll numbers are out there, he's going to demonstrate his maximum capacity to feel the pain of the American people. Here's Donald Trump at the Kennedy Center at the Saudi Business Forum yesterday, doing his best Clinton feel your pain performance. 106, please.
Great job. We're also making incredible strides to make America affordable again. That's a new word that they're using. Affordability, they talk. They had the worst inflation in history. They had the highest prices in history. The country was going to hell. The only thing that we're going up in is our stock market, okay? The only price that we really have, I mean, we're bringing prices down, but they came up with a new word, affordability.
Affordability.
And they look at the
Affordability.
We were all about affordability, and everyone assumes that that meant that no, their prices were high.
Okay, so the two main ideas we've heard floated are something on healthcare. Now everybody on the Hill, including Republicans, are saying you can't do substantial healthcare reform this year between now and Christmas. That's not possible. Then there's a big fight about whether to do a reconciliation bill or still try to reach out to Democrats. And then the president's $2,000 rebate from the tariff money is DOA on the Hill. They all think it's ridiculous and inflationary. And Scott Bessent's try to
That comment's unbelievable.
Square the circle, said, well, we'll give people $2,000, but we don't want them to spend it. We just want them to save it. So, Sean M. Spicer, what is going on with the White House substantively and message-wise to try to deal with, again, you can't, the polls are just a snapshot, but it's a hideous snapshot from not the Fox poll and every other poll we've seen, not just for the president's ratings on the economy, but for the party overall. Lastly, I'll say the greatest bellwether in American politics is the House Congressional Campaign Committee for the party of the president. And it does not take much to reach a House Republican member or strategist today who is really worried about what next year is looking like currently. Sean, what's the path out for Indiana Jones, aka Donald Trump?
Well, the path out is hopefully to that these investments that people are making and announcing actually get through the pipeline in the next 8 months, so that the investment that the companies that he is striking deals with that have announced stuff comes to fruition. As we all know, whether you're building a factory or hiring people or making investments, it's going to take a while to make it through the pipeline. I think the goal is to say things and propose things that make sure that people understand that you're doing what you can, and then hope that the investment that you've attracted actually pays out in time. I mean, the dirty secret is there's only so much you can actually do in the short term. You've got to set the right policies and hope that they stimulate the economy. The one big thing that I think is interesting that's overshadowing everything the president's doing is the acceleration of AI. So at the same time you're getting a lot of investment, a lot of this AI innovation is taking away jobs, and they're kind of like crescendoing at the same time, and that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, and of course, the AI is all the polls show now. There've been several in the last few weeks. It gives people more anxiety, regular people, because right now, and this is my strong amateur belief, AI is going to exacerbate the income disparity. It's going to help the rich get richer and corporations get richer. It's not going to help people at the low end, at least anytime soon. And to do the most authentic thing I could do to show that this is just like the network news division's morning meetings, I'm going to take 3 Advil. Dan, what's the president going to do to get out of this thing?
I don't know, because he is wired to only do what I call the 3 S's, which is strength, simplicity, and success. That everything is through that prism. And so I wonder, in all seriousness, if those remarks last night are up on the air in Tennessee by tonight on behalf of the Democrats, because what we're going to do is ask every Republican, is affordability a joke? Is it a made up word?
Affordability.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to replay that on loops of him mocking people that this is a made up issue. So I mean, I think his problem is his own party is going to run away from his messaging the way we ran away from Biden, digging in, saying, you need to be grateful that I got you out of the COVID ditch. Yeah. And people on the Hill were like, yeah, that's not happening. Give it a few months. Like, I think, Sean, if by February this doesn't start improving, Republicans are going to start running for the hills from him on this issue.
Yeah. Sean, obviously, he's got State of the Union to try to get people, to keep people from running to the hills. He doesn't do Feel Your Pain very well. He just does Biden sucks and everything's great under me. So what if the White House believes that the president's State of the Union should be about feeling the pain and saying, here are some ideas, we need to do better. Things are trending the right way, but we know we need to do better. What does that look like out of the mouth of Donald Trump, if he's even capable of it?
Well, I think that's why he's talking about the rebate checks. You know, he wants to be able to put money in people's pockets.
But they're dead. They're dead.
First of all, you know, the funny thing is I started to realize that, like a lot of other things, if he digs in on this, I'm not sure that's true. I first of all, the court is going to be the biggest, input on whether that's even a possibility or not. So I think he will not let this go, as you can tell.
I say respectfully, there's like 0% chance that'll pass the Congress.
What I've heard from lobbyists,
just to be clear, I think it's like tax on tips and all that stuff, which is a very narrow. They're going to be like, people on Tuesdays who are born on Tuesdays that make under $85,000 from.
There's not going to hurt inflation.
I'm not arguing whether I think that, like a lot of other things that he's proposed, they'll be able to check a box and say it got done, but they're going to narrow the scope of it so that he can say he did it.
I've heard from lobbyists in Washington. The White House is calling around to industries asking for ideas. I think they are putting together a bill that will be a stimulus bill. Now, whether it's really going to pass, they have to have something to point at positively that the party can say, this is what we're for to help you right now. Now, whether they can cobble this together, we'll see. But they are soliciting all over K Street for ideas to stimulate the economy and affordability.
K Street, the Hill, and think tanks.
Reconciliation 2.0.
Yeah. But how quickly could there be a reconciliation bill? There's not a lot of enthusiasm for it. Lindsay wants to do it, but is this something that happens in April? When would that happen?
Well, I mean, in theory, it can happen anytime they want.
No, but I mean, realistically.
I mean, the question is, how big do you go? If it's small, you can move it pretty fast. Although Murkowski and others say no way.
But I'm not talking exactly. I'm not talking theoretically. I'm saying in the real moment in which we're in right now, assuming the White House and the Hill and the Republicans of the Hill agree they want to do that and what it should be, and they're far from agreement on either question. Like, are we talking about something that happens in the spring?
You could.
Well, the problem is it's not.
Yes, you could.
You have to back that up, though. This goes back to my first comments. Passing a bill and then not having a stimulative effect is kind of worthless. So I think the key is they're going to want to get something done. Yep. March maybe, but you need to get it. You need to get this done.
All right, we could talk about this forever. Just to close it up, Kara Swisher says Trump's going to resign. Oh, because Kara Swisher says Trump's sick and his administration is a disaster, and J.D. Vance will be president any day now. I swear I heard her say it. Maybe I dreamed it, but I think I did. On a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being everything's just fine, and this is just the liberal media criticism, and 10 being Trump's second term will be considered an absolute failure. Where are we now?
Wait, say this again.
Presidency?
0
is everything's fine. This is just the media's
and 10 is terrible.
And 10 is apocalypse. Sean Spicer, 0 to 10.
2.5.
You took my number. I was going to say the same exact thing.
2.5. Interesting. I'll go 2.6. Just because I don't really know what they're going to do to get out of this. All right, Ukraine.
Well, I also think the question isn't just are they going to get out of this. I think the question is if the party breaks on this, I think that keeps going the next 3 years.
Yeah. Ukraine. I don't know why Jared Kushner, the vice president, the secretary of state, and Witkoff thought making a deal unilaterally with Putin would fly with Europe or Kyiv or the U.S. Congress, but somehow they did. And as the details of the plan, of the proposed plan come out, there's a lot of dissenting voices. Europeans are freaking out. Zelensky seems to be in a somewhat tough position, has not been as outspoken as I suspect he is privately. And here is the gentleman from Arkansas, Tom Cotton, on Fox and Friends, pouring icy cold, slurpy temperature water on the deal. Number 110, please.
Yeah, and Brian, Secretary Rubio seemed to let some air out of that trial balloon last night when he characterized it as an exchange of ideas. The stories may be coming, in fact, from Russians. What we do know is what President Trump has said and done recently. You just heard the clip where he said he's frustrated with President Putin. We're continuing to supply Ukraine with long-range missiles that can strike key Russian military targets inside of Russia. President Trump has said he's ready to go forward with sanctions on Russia, as well as secondary sanctions on countries that are buying Russian oil, which just shows that he has a strong commitment to keep the pressure on Vladimir Putin to make a deal at the negotiating table to end this brutal, unprovoked war of aggression against Ukraine. So, as you say, there's a lot of provisions in these leaks that probably no Ukrainian could ever agree to. There's obviously fighting going on today. Russians are gaining some territory. Ukrainians are guaranteeing some territory. But Ukraine will not be able to give up vast swaths of territory that Russia has not been able to seize, and probably more importantly, have very critical defensive lines that are important for preventing a future return to hostilities.
Yeah, you
Likewise,
Dan, I'm not Henry Kissinger. I'm not even Walter Isaacson. But what's this? What's the plan here? How did they possibly think that negotiating a completely one-sided deal with the Russians would lead to an agreement?
I mean, I literally put on X, I thought it was The Onion at first. I could not believe what I was reading. And the fact that Tom Cotton literally just said that proposal might be a Russian fake. Like, let that sink in. I mean, we joked about this over the summer, that the Russians were insisting Ukraine give up weaponry, no European or U.S. support, and basically in exchange they would promise not to go any further, even though they're totally untrustworthy. I have no idea, other than they wanted to change the subject from all the bad news the last week. And they were delusional, thinking that the rest of the world would just get on board with this. It's insane. It literally would. I mean, if this happened, and I mean this, Trump would have lost Ukraine. Like, it would be on his resume the rest of his life that he literally handed Putin Ukraine. It'd be unbelievable.
Sean, I know you're pretty hawkish on Russia, so you probably don't like the deal itself. But just from the process point of view, what was their thinking of striking this deal that would lead to someplace productive?
The only thing that I can think of, because again, you get Jared involved, is look at what we did with Gaza. We came up with this thing, we jammed it, and it worked. So maybe we try that. I mean, that's in my mind, that's basically what they've done.
But that involved consultations with, ironically, both parties.
Yeah.
I mean, they dealt directly with Hamas. They negotiated it with Hamas. This was a completely as best we know, completely one-sided deal, and the terms of it. I mean, I've been a realist about this, what a settlement was going to be from the beginning. They're going to have to give up land, and they're going to have to reward Putin for his aggression from the beginning. But this deal is ridiculous. You couldn't possibly expect Europe to accept this deal.
Well, look, I will say this. I don't think anyone in the Trump administration cares what Europe thinks. So whether or not how they involve Ukraine in this deal is one thing. But the reality is that the general view is Europe is worthless. They add nothing to this, and they just get in the way. So I don't see any deal coming together where they actually care what Europe thinks. If they can get Zelensky to sign off, which seems to me that the way that they're going is get the contours of something with Russia, jam it to down Zelensky's throat, and then tell Europe, this is, thanks for playing.
Yeah. All right.
And then we're going to ask them to help us with China and everything else.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant strategy.
I know they don't give a rip what Europe thinks, but Zelensky's going to have Europe on his side and Tom Cotton on his side. And I don't know.
Well, and there's also the realistic thought that you would literally be giving. I mean, why would Putin stop at Ukraine? I mean, just ask yourself the legitimate question.
Yeah. All right, just one more on this.
Well,
Sean,
by the way, I
what
think all
happened?
you're doing is buying
Yeah.
3 years.
What happens?
That is the irony.
Yeah,
It's
Sean,
just get it off my plate and then I'll attack people.
One sentence each. Sean, what happens next on this story? Does Zelensky denounce it? Do they adjust it? What happens next?
I think Zelensky says there are some positive pieces to this. I've got to get some tweet. I mean, like, there's a level of reality there, but he can't take the first bite at this because he'd get pummeled for accepting this right off the bat. So he's got to.
Dan, is the next step negotiation?
No, I think he'll play his politics. To Sean's point, he's not going to embarrass Trump because that doesn't serve his interest. But I think this dies a quiet death because the headlines will change.
Last night, 1:12, please. I forget what time it was. Pretty late. The president went on Truth Social and said that he had signed the legislation. Incredible turnaround. Is this the right one? Is this the right thing? The votes were almost unanimous. Anyway, yeah, Truth Social, he said that he signed the bill. And now the clock starts ticking. And the Attorney General said yesterday they're going to, with proper redactions and withholdings, going to release the material. Dan, what happens next on this story?
I think this one actually kind of also starts to drift away from the headlines a little because DOJ will take the next 30 days to get stuff together. I would imagine they're going to start dripping it out at strategically, smart times. They'll try to get some more Democrats in the headlines.
You think it'll be all at once, like right before Christmas?
I think they will drip and drab it to try to create a narrative. Again, this is politics. I don't blame them whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I think you'll get some headlines about Democrats who are involved because they were. And the bad news will be on Friday nights at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Sean?
So I had a conversation yesterday on my show with Jessica Reed Krause, who's been covering this like intimately and it blew my mind. Like, because I actually think that I think the opposite of what Dan's saying. I think that as we get stuff out, people, the MAGA world, everyone else is going to say, this is a joke. You're covering stuff up. You're over redacting. The level of expectation of what people think they're going to get and what's going to come out are so out of kilter. And I think that that's going to be a huge problem because people think somehow they're going to get this amazing revelation of all of these lists and men that have done bad things. And that's, at least from what I keep hearing now, that's not going to be the case. And I think from what Dershowitz has told me and what Jessica said yesterday, I just think that there's such a mismatch and people are going to get pissed that they thought they were going to get more. And it's a huge disappointment what gets let out. So I actually
think does this issue then dog Trump in 2026?
I don't know that it dogs him. I just think that I think the problem, like I said, is that there's this belief that it's going to be like every other conspiracy theory where there's a cover up. We're not getting everything that we thought. And so to certain people, it will really matter. So some people will get it. I think most people get over it, but for a lot of people, it's going to be, we knew it.
Okay. Comey, if you didn't wade into the details of what happened in the courtroom yesterday, where Comey's team tried to get the case dismissed and the actions of the prosecutor were laid out, it's, I think, the single greatest act of incompetence we've seen in this term. It just a complete incompetence, how it was handled, not on the edges, but just fundamentally not following the rules of how you indict someone and threaten their liberty. We could wade into it. It's just comical. But Sean, will the case be dismissed?
So I don't know. I've asked a lot of people this question that you're asking now, and I've gotten a mixed result. Some people say it doesn't matter. Like, it's, in other words, at the end of the day, the substance is there. And then some people are like, it's a total process foul. You can't allow that to go forward. So I'll be interested to see how the judge rules, but I don't know enough. I mean, the people who are lawyers who do this have told me, some have said, no big deal. It's sloppy, but that's what happens. And some people have said you can't allow that to go forward.
Dan, here's two questions I don't know the answer to. Maybe you do or lawyers on. One is, can they refile it? Can they redo it?
No, so the statute's the problem. That's why they did it so quickly.
Yeah, because the statute of limitations is up. And then the other question is, I think this trial judge, based on everything that was said, is going to throw it out. But they can get it reinstated on appeal, but that's unlikely to happen. It's my sense of the law. So, Dan, this is going to be thrown out, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say it is the most incompetent thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, and
and it's.
what
I don't think
M-
this is going to be the last one that's going to get tossed.
right.
For
What M-
total
Well, I actually, the one
incompetence.
question
What-
that we're not discussing is how does Trump react? Because it's
Yeah.
one thing for a judge to rule, like, hey, we
Yeah.
went through a trial and he's
Yeah.
off. But when the judge is saying your team's the one that did this,
Oh yeah. What MS Now anchor will get the first Comey interview after the case is thrown out? I'm thinking Rachel. He likes Rachel. Can you imagine how much fury Trump's going to feel watching that interview? Because he'll watch it.
Oh, and Comey's going to rub it in his
yeah.
face.
Yeah.
I mean, he is going to take a victory lap.
So tomorrow in the Oval Office, extraordinary meeting of two respects game New York politicians. Some people are predicting it's going to be a love fest because Trump likes, theatrics, and Mamdani's coming in knowing what he's doing. Here's Mamdani on the pregame show last night with Chris Hayes on MSNBC about his goals. 113. MS Now. 114. Sorry, 114.
Do you think a lot of people go into meetings with Donald Trump, I think, thinking they're going to be the one to get over on him? And I sometimes often think, I've watched this now for 10 years, they screw up because they think they underestimate him. Like, what is your goal for a meeting with Donald Trump? What do you want to come out of a meeting with Donald Trump?
I want to just speak plainly to the president about what it means to actually stand up for New Yorkers and the way in which New Yorkers are struggling to afford this city. And frankly, cost of living is something that I heard time and time again from New Yorkers about why they voted for Donald Trump. And this is something that has only continued in the last few months of this year, where we're hearing about childcare concerns, rent concerns, Con Ed concerns, even just getting on the bus just $2.90. And just to make it clear to the president that this is what we're talking about, these are the stakes for New Yorkers and their ability to keep calling this city their home.
I'll just say, if Dan, you've probably noticed this too, because people don't pay attention to politics. There's a bunch of New Yorkers who think the buses are free now because Mamdani won. So all the buses in New York now have big, the electronic sign on the front that tells you what bus it is and what route it is. They all say fare required, because people must be getting on the buses nonstop saying the buses are free. Mamdani won. I think the meeting's going to be a love fest, but I don't think there's any way to know. But that'd be my guess, is it's going to be surprisingly warm with a few little jibes. Sean.
Well, first of all, I think the tell is JD Vance on the couch when Mamdani.
I was just going to add that. Yeah. I got a flip one for you. Does Mamdani bring some people and put on with him to be on his couch?
Yeah.
What's that?
Does Mamdani
bring a little delegation?
Yeah.
Oh, he has to.
He might bring some socialists with him.
What if AOC showed up with him?
So there's two things that are interesting. One is we talked about this a little yesterday, but it's funny. He wants the meeting, and yet he's calling him Communist Mayor Mamdani.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So he's not giving up the moniker. But the thing that I found fascinating, you noted this. I was writing it down as he was saying it, and then Mark, you picked it up. But like, the bus is costing $2.90. Has what the president of the United States is now suddenly weighing in on the cost of a bus for New York City and Con Ed. That's your electricity system.
Yes.
It's kind of rich to come down and start telling the president how unaffordable New York is for things that have nothing to do with the president of the United States.
Correct. Dan, how do you see this meeting playing out?
See, I'm not sure it's going to be a love fest, because what Mamdani said is, I'm going to kind of like educate Trump. And that is not what you do when you walk into the White House to like, hey, let me tell you how things really are, because that'll just rub him the wrong way. I think the question is he going in there for politics? Because I don't think you can have both. So if he's going in there and his goal is to keep the funding flowing, then I think he shuts his mouth. He's gracious. He absolutely kind of understands I'm a little bit of the beggar.
Yeah.
But if he goes in there with the idea of listen, like, I am your equal, I am representing my whole side of the tribe, and you have JD Vance and Susie Wiles and like, I don't know, Tom Homan.
Stephen Miller.
Yeah, Stephen Miller and Tom Homan. Does he walk in with AOC? I think Jeffries.
I think we got to say that there's a 15% chance that he and Stephen Miller wrestle each other to the floor. I just don't think you can rule that out.
Can we all agree it's going to be an open pool, right? I mean, they're going to bring in the pool.
Oh my God! I think they're all going to be wearing wireless mics, and there'll be like a camera overhead.
Well, the reason I say that is tomorrow's pool is going to be really important to look at.
Yeah.
Because who is the secondary in the
I
new?
hope it's
I mean,
Mary
if they
Bruce
ask
of
about
ABC.
immigration and they ask
Yeah.
about crime, I mean,
Yeah.
what does Mamdani say? We welcome ICE?
It's going to be great. It's going to be a great
Tell me,
meeting.
no,
All right.
but
Couple
here's what
more
I'm saying is
things.
watch to see if Brian Glenn
Yeah.
from Real America's Voice is
Yeah.
back in the pool
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Well, that's a perennial for many of us now, because of his relationship with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Well,
Okay, a couple more topics, and then to your questions. Just pissed.
Trump
I
on
forgot.
2028.
I forgot to show something that I wanted to show. I'm just trying to decide to double back. All right, our friend Selena Zito did an interview with the president. Great interview. You can read it in the Washington Post. Amongst the things she asked him about was Democratic presidential field. And as you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, the president said of the current Democrats being talked about as contenders, it's AOC who has the best political instincts. Sean, feel free to do your Trump imitation or not, but what do you think he really thinks of AOC?
I think that
Does he think she could be the nominee?
Yes, I think so. I don't think he thinks she can win, but I think he does like respect the fact that she gets out there and mixes it up, and
Yeah.
also, I mean, like I've said before, it's also an indictment about the rest of the field.
Yeah.
I don't think that he particularly thinks that she's that awesome as much as the rest of them suck.
Yeah, like the Leo DeRocher line, can't anybody else play this game? Dan, Trump speaking favorably about AOC, does that have any significance for people in the Democratic Party? In other words, people say, well, if Trump likes her, we don't want her. Or do people say, well, if Trump thinks she's good, maybe, she's good. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think there is a grudging acceptance, and even not just amongst like the progressives, that she is a good political athlete. I mean, and that's why I've always said she's going to be a top tier candidate. And I do think she's got kind of piss and vigor, and she's nimble, and she's a good candidate. But I mean, if he had said Gavin Newsom's an impressive person, then the train may pick up some more steam, because it's like when Bill Clinton said George W. Bush in the summer of '99 was a little more impressive than he thought he would be. It gave a little bit of gravitas to him. So, he's not going to compliment Newsom, but
right.
Yeah, I mean, I will say again, for those of you who say she's nimble and she's a great political athlete, tell me about the toughest interview you've ever seen her do. Go ahead.
Well, but Mark, I think, though, the world's changed in terms of that stuff mattering. I think Trump has lowered the bar that you can just flip questions into a brawl. It becomes a tribal fight. I don't even have to answer your questions. I can just flip it to say, this is the status quo. It's rigged. This is what you're always asking about. I'm going to talk about this. And I think she looks at that path and will say, every time that you try to corner her on these issues, she just won't address them.
I agree 20%, but I don't believe someone of her background and age is going to get the nomination without doing tough interviews.
Oh, she'll do tough interviews,
Yeah,
but she'll use them as a chance to fight.
You ever seen her ask any tough questions? You ever seen her ask tough questions? Can you think of a time?
Define a tough question. How would you solve Social Security? Or what do you think of Donald Trump? I mean,
something that involves substantively knowing how to be commander in chief and president of the United States. You ever seen her ask a question like that ever? Have you? You see her get asked a lot of political questions.
I've seen her asked about like legislation on Capitol Hill. Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, look, was Trump deep on policy? No, he wasn't.
No.
And he made that an asset, not a liability.
Yeah, he wasn't in his 30s.
He was in his 70s and was a real estate developer. I mean, Mark, you can't pigeonhole her like that. Trump changed the game. Nobody cares. What, she isn't on the Senate Foreign Intelligence, Foreign Affairs Committee? She doesn't know foreign dignitaries? No one cares anymore. Nobody does.
I think that
save this tape. Go ahead.
Okay.
Save this tape. Lastly, we got to solve this mystery, guys. Vitally important. 116A. Michael Daly, how many followers does Ronaldo have on Instagram?
Like 40 million.
No. That's is it X or Instagram? Where's his big following, Michael? It's like he's got a lot. Michael will tell us in a second. So the president met with Ronaldo, and then Ronaldo, I think, was at the Kennedy Center. Over 648
million on Instagram.
On Instagram, yes, over 600 million on Instagram. Anyway, so the president knows how to hang out with people with followings. Ronaldo is uniformly listed at 6'2". The president is uniformly listed at 6'3". And I've never been in Ronaldo's presence, but I think the president is either 6'2" or 6'3".
I agree.
But if Ronaldo is 6'2", it doesn't make any sense. And we don't believe either of them was wearing, cowboy boots or anything. So, Dan, your best Inspector Clouseau, Hardy Boys, what's the deal?
No, because I agree with you that I believe Trump is about 6'2", 6'3". So either Ronaldo wants to be shorter, because in soccer you want to be fast, and for years height was considered, slow. Or, Heather Cox Richardson's going to write that Trump is shrinking as he's getting older. I don't know.
Sean, what's your best guess?
I fully believe Trump's 6'3". I mean, like I've stood next to him plenty of times.
So is Ronaldo minimizing his height by 3 inches? I mean, the perspective on this might be misleading, but he's clearly taller. So
there's a walk shot that they did from the Oval to the residence, and you can tell. I mean, the same thing.
Yeah. So I mean, is Ronaldo underlisting his height by 3 inches?
The thing is,
ladies and gentlemen, this is a mystery. It's a mystery. We don't have a solution. Quick word from a sponsor, and then to your question. So please, if you're here on the platform and want to get in, raise your hand. Here's another great discount available to the two-way community, and it comes from our friends at CB Distillery. Go to cbdistillery.com. Use the promo code 2WMM for 25% off everything. Products that can make a real difference in your life. Over 2 million people have used the products from CB Distillery for all sorts of things, whether they're you need more sleep, you're feeling aches and pains, whatever it is. The real win of CB Distillery products using the highest quality, clean ingredients, no fillers, premium CBD is to make you feel better. Here's an opportunity to try the products at a massive discount. 25% off your entire purchase. Visit cbdistillery.com. Promo code is 2WMM. cbdistillery.com. Promo code 2WMM. If you're having trouble sleeping, relaxing, feeling good, it's an opportunity to try the products. First time for you. 25% off your entire order. cbdistillery.com. Promo code 2WMM. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Opportunity of a lifetime to question these two gentlemen. I think it's going to go with the Bruce first because the pup. Bruce, welcome in. Unmute. Tell folks pup's name.
All right.
Where you are and what's on your mind.
Excellent. This is Coda. We're in South Jordan, Utah. And
welcome in. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for your show here. It's a great public service, actually. And I grew up in politics watching the McLaughlin Group. So love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. My question is about how to get government out of our healthcare system in general. Where can we start? For example, when you go try to get a doctor's appointment, it's a long wait, especially for specialists. A very long wait. And part of the reason for that is that the government subsidizes residencies for doctors. They also are involved in student loans for education for doctors, and it's gotten so expensive. More doctors try to get into the specialties. You can't get into your internist or general practitioner. So where can we start to get out of this mess?
Sean.
I mean, it's a great question. As we talked about, I don't know, like you can't just do one thing. I mean, I feel like when you start putting your hands into the engine of healthcare and tinkering around, that's the problem. You either got to go all in. I mean, I think, as I've said before, it's an employer-based system, and that's part of the problem. Meaning it's all tied to your job. So there's a lot that's wrong. I mean, I think we need to go in and head first, really look at how to do this. I have no problem. Like, I think actually if we wanted to end employer subsidies, make it tax write-offs that people could have, you get your plan, you've got portability, you can take it wherever you want. I would be much more in favor of a plan like that. But the bigger question, Bruce, is like we've said before, there's no willingness to go do this kind of stuff, to dig deep. And so they're going to tinker around the edges. They're going to, announce some write-offs and tax benefits here and here, and that's it. So until there's a major crisis, I don't see how this is going to get touched.
Dan.
So I agree with you that as a rule, government really doesn't do much well. The private sector just is always more nimble and innovative and efficient. You start with the fact, though, Bruce, what do you do So 40% of this country doesn't have more than $300 in savings. They live paycheck to paycheck. What do you do for people who, if there was no government support, no government intervention, could not afford health care? Just what do you do? Because then when they show up in the emergency room, right, we are paying for them because we're not going to turn them away and have them, die on the street. So ultimately, right, an insurance pool works when everybody is in, everybody is paying. But to Sean's point, the system is so dysfunctional. The incentives are dysfunctional. The insurance industry, most of the insurers who deal in Obamacare do not make money on that. They are losing money on Obamacare. So the idea that they're all getting rich is just not true on that front. So the whole system needs to be rebuilt. But to Sean's point, it would need to be bipartisan. There would be some painful trade-offs. And as a country, everyone complains, but they want to keep, they don't want change.
Bruce, thank you. Grateful to you. Really good, important question. Monica, welcome in. Tell folks who don't know where you are, what's on your mind for Sean and Dan after you unmute.
Good morning. I am in Northeast Florida, and I wanted to get on and give a special thank you to Sean and Dan, who've been part of my morning since the show started. And I'm going to miss them. And you've got big shoes to fill, Mark, whoever's coming on after them. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that.
A couple of other things is, I don't know, Mark, if you've had any feedback on the program, the post show last night after the 6 o'clock show. I really felt bad for Ari, the host. He got completely bulldozed by Laura, which I kind of think ruined the impact of the show for many people that were on it. It just is really important.
Thank you for watching, Monica. And it would take too long to explain what Monica means, but go watch the show and you'll see. It was Laura Loomer loomered Ari a little bit, but it was what it was. Sorry, Monica, keep going.
No, and just a couple of other things on a couple of things that Sean mentioned about, and Dan, you were talking about earlier with regards to affordability. I think it's the way the administration is describing it. The dismissive nature of their communication is really off-putting to people who are out there struggling. And so it's just, I think if they could change the way they communicate. And then the second thing is regarding the Epstein. I agree with Sean that the story is not going to go away in and of itself because it is emblematic of the feeling for many people about how elites and the well-connected people within the country get away with murder, so to speak. It's just, a euphemism. And so to me, unless there is another story, say some big figure that is also important to the MAGA group, whether that be Comey or Brennan or something, if some other big individual was brought to justice, so to speak, and that became a big story, that could divert from the Epstein. But unless there's something like that, I don't see the Epstein story going away. Just want to get your thoughts on that.
Monica, thank you. A really interesting perspective. Dan.
Yeah, it goes to the point that Sean, you raised earlier, Mark, about Trump's reaction. If the Comey case gets tossed and the Epstein stuff keeps burning, that is a double whammy for the president. Monica, I agree with you about Trump being tone deaf. And to me, the danger, he's beginning to enter a danger zone, which is once people believe you don't understand them anymore, it's really hard to get them back in your camp. I mean, just the history, whether it's George W. Bush after Katrina and Iraq went sideways in 2006, he just never recovered. People said, that's it. We just don't see you as very competent. Trump had a little bit during COVID where people just said, that's it. You're crazy on this. He's got to be really careful here, really careful Because if he keeps laughing in people's face, and if all he references is the stock market, and he's hanging out in Mar-a-Lago, like, I get presidents are entitled to vacations. They're entitled to, they're never off the job. But the optics of hanging out in a gilded country club in Palm Beach while people are suffering and mocking them, that is brutal politics. Brutal.
Sean.
So I brought this up the other day. I think two things. Well, on the affordability. One, you can tell the president's trying, right? He's talked about the cost of drugs and some of the other things that I think he's where I understand his frustration is he's like, inflation went to 9 under Biden, and everyone said it was transitory. It's not a big deal. And I come in and I'm bringing stuff down, and you guys want to talk about affordability
Hold
now.
on a sec. When Biden left, it was 2.5.
It went to as high as 9, and the
Right, and then it went down to 2.5.
Yellen told us that it was transitory,
and now it's up to 3. That's his problem.
So I think there's a level of, you got to be kidding me. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm talking about it, whereas their view was it doesn't exist. So there's a level of frustration that exists there. As I said the other day, though, Monica, I agree with you that they need to start upping the message to, we're not done yet. We know that this is not high enough. Like, we're still fighting for you. We're still looking out for you. We're doing this. Because for a lot of Americans, again, it's not a question of blame. They're not saying you did this, but I always tell people in politics, it's like the cable guy. When the cable person, when you're paying for cable or whatever you pay for now, and they come to fix it, you don't want a bunch of excuses. You don't want to hear, well, here's the problem, your house isn't wired, it's just fix it. That's what I pay you for. Fix the cable. And sometimes politicians want to explain why it's not working, as opposed to just understanding the job. Voters elect somebody because they tell them they're going to deal with their problems. They're going to fix their problems. They're going to make their life better, safer. And they don't want excuses. And so they need to up the game and not worry about who's responsible for it, but just make sure that the American people know that they're fighting for them and there's more work to be done. On Epstein, again, as I said, I think if you go back and watch what Jessica Reed Krause said yesterday on the show, I was blown away on this, because her whole point on this is that people are getting random headlines about Epstein and not really going down the rabbit hole of what's really there, who's really to blame, what really happened. I just don't. I think people are going to get very disappointed when the files come out. They'll say that there's a lot more that's not there. I don't think you're going to get the names that we all think, and that's going to be the problem.
Monica, thank you. Really great question. Very well framed. John, if you can try to unmute one more time, that'd be awesome. There you go. John, welcome in. Thank you for being part of the two-way experience. Beautiful background. I wish it were real, but I fear it's not.
Oh, it's real. It's real. It's Yukon territory.
Yeah. Where are you located, John, and what's on your mind for Sean and Dave?
Well, presently I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. Hello to you all.
Hello.
The Border Patrol and ICE have started their, have been, doing their enforcement protocols. They've started in a few cities, and they've publicized that there are a number of cities more to go. Right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now the optics of these operations, right? And we see them in Charlotte. Okay, they play locally. They may not play to San Francisco, city, across the United States, but locally they play. The optics, as justified as they may be, with the huge Tahoes, the uniforms, the masks. And also what's a big news item here in Charlotte, as some news institutions have reported, principally CBS, of the first 600 people that have been apprehended, less than 3% have criminal records, of some kind, right? Also, where the protocol is also apprehending people who have established themselves here. They're not recent immigrants, for example, and the separation, children. It doesn't look good, okay? I don't want to get into the morality of it. My question is this. As this happens from city to city, it's not isolated here to Charlotte, right? Is this going to hurt? I realize it may not be the highest priority for a voter, right? But will this, if they continue this way, will this hurt Republicans in elections, midterm elections?
Yeah, great question.
In 2008.
Great question, John. Sean, and then Dan.
People don't like it here.
Yeah.
So there's an interesting stat that came out from the local news in Charlotte. On Monday, the first day of enforcement, 20% of the total enrollment, 30,000 kids, didn't show up that day. Obviously, out of concern that they weren't in the country legally. At least that's what the local news.
That's not all those were illegals. Okay, let's be careful.
Local.
You just said they were in the country illegally.
I actually said local news was reporting that. So I'm quoting you. Again, this is.
No, they weren't. But go on.
John, it's not debatable. I have the clips from your local stations. It's not a debatable fact what they aired. You and I don't have to agree.
I'm reading the Observer. Okay.
Okay, John, hold on, because we're up against the clock. So let Sean finish, and then Dan.
Look, I think at the end of the day, depending on how they execute this stuff, but if you look at how it's going city by city, a lot of people are very pleased with the fact that their cities are safer. Washington, D.C. being one of them here. But there's a lot of folks that when you talk to people in some of these areas say, you know what, it is safer, it is better. How they execute them, and I think that the administration has gotten better in each iteration. But the bottom line is look, every time you hear about somebody in this country getting killed, attacked, drivers with CDL licenses that don't speak English, that's a problem. And I think that if we don't have a country where we have a rule of law, we have a problem. And so I think I get why people who don't like that, who want open borders, don't want it. But I think for most Americans who feel a sense of safety and concern for their community, and frankly, the other dirty secret about this, which I find kind of ironic, is if you think about these large cities, Charlotte included, these are blue areas. It's not like the president's trying to win re-election. He's actually spending a ton of political capital in areas and on voters that didn't support him.
Yeah, Dan, real quick, if you can.
Yeah, I think if the conversation is about reducing crime, it's still friendly territory for Trump. If the conversation is about deporting people beyond criminals, polls show it's a loser for him. And this is another example. Closing the southern border is a win. This stuff is not popular. You'll see candidates walking away from it.
Yeah. Before we tell you about what's coming up, it's exclusive video obtained by Two-Way in the morning meeting here. This is from the Oval Office. I don't think you all have seen this anywhere else, but more on the Ronaldo-Trump relationship. Pretty interesting what they ended up doing in the Oval.
I mean, the hair is amazing for that.
Yeah.
God bless AI.
Good footwork.
Yeah, he's spry at his age.
Dan, tell us about the very special episode of the group chat at 4:00 today.
Well, we'll be breaking this video down, no doubt, as we always do with our, football segment here. Emma, Joe, Nina, Robbie, and I will be on the group chat today at 4:00. We'll talk about Mamdani in New York and other topics of the day. So join us live at 4:00 today.
6:00 tonight, Amber Duke of the Daily Caller, a Democratic strategist, Haima Moore will join me 6:00 on Two-Way tonight, and we'll have a lot of coverage of the Cheney funeral. I'm super interested in that, and all, of course, Caroline Levitt's briefing, all the news of the day. 7:00, Michael Moynihan streams on YouTube with Meghan McCain, host of Citizen McCain, on the Moynihan Report. Sean.
Well, we're going to break down the video. Actually, I'll show that video from the local news in Charlotte tonight. We've got a lot of other issues like Epstein. We'll talk affordability, the courts, with the panel tonight. Adam Gillette, president of Accuracy Media, Sarah Gonzalez of The Blaze, and Caroline Downey of National Review.
All right. Tomorrow, just to let you know now, Two-Way tonight will be live at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. tomorrow. I'll be from a special location. See you at 4 p.m. And then again, remember, next week, no morning meeting, no Two-Way tonight. Thanksgiving break for us, as we do every year. For next week, we'll be back December 1st. But the three of us will be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern time. And of course, we'll have winners, losers of the week and what to look for going forward. Gentlemen, looking forward to it. See you then.
Well.